What's up, Brian Tong here, and with so many new phones getting announced from Samsung and Huawei and Oppo and others at Mobile World Congress, it made me think for a second, like, is this the year where Apple finally gets the kick in the ass that they need? And if you're watching, don't think this is, instantly a hater video on Apple, but let's just take a step back and look at what companies are doing. Now, we know that perception can be reality, and the perception for a lot of longtime Apple users and people using Android phones that are outside of the Apple's ecosystem bubble is that Apple is trailing when it comes to, let's call them, game-changing innovations. That's really the perception. But the reality for me hit even harder, specifically after Samsung's Unpacked Keynote and then Mobile World Congress. We know that Samsung announced the Samsung Fold. We all saw it. The first ever folding touchscreen phone that we had seen at that point. And yes, it's a first gen. And yes, no one got to actually use it. And yes, it's going to retail starting at $1,980 US for an LTE version with a 5G version coming later as well. And yes, this isn't a device for everyone right now. Then Huawei showed off their even slimmer and larger Mate X foldable phone that has a camera system that will be on par with their Mate 20 Pro. It will cost just under 2,300 euros, which is a tad over 2,600 US dollars. And that price isn't for everyone either, but it might be the best polished foldable phone we've seen to date. It's easily the slimmest out there, and it gives us a real sense that this product does have legs in the future. So the fact that they exist and are out there, they're pushing innovation and technology forward. We don't know where this is going to fit into our lives just yet, but these are real and they're coming this year. Now, Oppo announced their own foldable phone at Mobile World Congress. LG's doing this dual screen design. Nokia announced a phone with 5 rear cameras. And yeah, I mean, some of that sounds crazy. The hardware is important, but it also needs good software. But these companies are legitimately moving things forward. Now, I threw all that out there, but let's go back to Samsung for a bit and look at what they're bringing with their 10th anniversary phone with the Galaxy S10 and S10 Plus this year. I'm not going to go through every spec, but let's just go through some of the big features that matter. We have the S10 and S10 Plus. They're both getting the ultrasonic fingerprint scanner directly on the screen. This is built into the screen. And first impressions are it's very snappy and reliable. And if that holds true over time, I'm pretty sure it will be more reliable than Face ID that can still be picky about what it sees depending on the lighting. And again, there's no notch on the screen with this design. And you have the punch hole in the corner for the camera, which I prefer. There's also reverse wireless charging. You can charge accessories like the new Samsung Buds or the new Galaxy Watch Active on the rear side of this phone. It will even charge an iPhone wirelessly on the back of a Galaxy S10. You also get that it brings rear triple lens cameras with this ultra wide camera. That's legit. And then the ability to post straight to Instagram. That's something that almost everyone will use. I don't think it's a gimmick, but it's fun, right? It's also the first phone with HDR10 plus support for their screens. If you know me, you know that I'm a videophile when it comes to watching content. You've heard me tout Dolby Vision all the time. Well, HDR10 plus, it's not 12-bit color like Dolby Vision, but it's 10-bit color that dynamically optimizes each scene to give you really like the best looking image on a phone. And this is not a gimmick. Samsung has been using it in their TVs since 2017. So they're putting all of that into a phone starting at $899 for the S10 with a 6.1-inch screen and 128 gigs of storage. Then you have the S10 Plus with a 6.4-inch screen that starts at $999. So the current iPhone 10 right now starts at $999 for a 5.0-inch screen and 64 gigs of storage with a notch that isn't going away in 2019. Then Samsung, right? They have their 5G version of the S10 that has a 6.7-inch screen, 5G speed, obviously, and we'll see how well it actually works in the real world in 2019 if it's in your area. But if it does work well, that'll be another check mark that Apple doesn't have. So the 5G S10 version, it will also add front and rear 3D depth sensing cameras as well with no official price, but it will be easily over $1,000 coming sometime in April. So you now take all of this in. And Apple's keynote is typically in September for their new iPhone announcement. Mark Gurman on Twitter really broke it down, saying that Samsung is beating Apple out to a triple lens camera by 7 months. If Apple gets reverse wireless charging, they're 7 months behind on that too. 5G and rear 3D sensing camera lens, that's going to be roughly 1.5 years when we expect Apple might get it. And then let's say a foldable phone or new screen design product by at least 1.5 years or more. That's a huge gap to play catch up. And we know software still matters. It always does. Hardware and software always matter together. So then we have Samsung's new One UI. It's easily the cleanest it's ever been, but Apple still has iOS, and it's hard to beat that polish, all of the massive developer community behind it, and the power of the Apple ecosystem. So from what we've heard about this year's iPhone so far, we're expecting a triple lens camera and maybe reverse wireless charging, but that might be it. Nothing is official yet. It's just what we've heard, but they'll either be late to the party or they won't even come close to where Samsung is at this year. So are you really supposed to get super excited about 2019 being the year of software for the iPhone after a lackluster 2018 release of iPhones that featured, and I pound it all the time, a slightly better camera and faster processor that we don't feel at all? And after what we saw from Samsung for their 10th anniversary phones, Apple's behind from a hardware standpoint. I mean, it's not even close. We know they've been behind before, but that gap is even larger now, and it's going to feel that way, especially the next 6 or 7 months. And Apple's been relying on their ecosystem. It's powerful. It keeps many of us in it. They've had a market share lead in the US. There has been no sense of urgency, and it's allowed them to do the slow play with the iPhone. If you look at this Bloomberg chart, iPhone quarterly sales are represented by the blue bars, and they've basically, remained flat for the past 2 years, while the black line reflects how iPhone revenue has continued to go up and up thanks to Apple driving phone prices even higher. That's how Apple has stayed extremely profitable while people stay in the ecosystem, but phone sales didn't go up. And it's the power of iOS. I'd be the first to admit, right? The two things that I'd miss the most about leaving are AirDrop and then taking notes that sync on all my Apple devices, because that's just how my brain works. I'm constantly thinking. So, and let's forget about the blue chat bubbles, but Apple Messages has become like a staple when you're chatting with a group of people or your entire family is on an iPhone. But if you're an Apple fan from the SJ days, we're talking peak Apple, where major innovation was the priority. And if they were ahead, they kept doing more to stay even more ahead. That's what drew you to them. That's what drew me to them. So you've got to hope this is the year that wakes them up. But it's still going to take another 2 years for us to see the result of any urgency that they may or may not be finally feeling. They actually reacted to a much smaller but very vocal professional market that was fed up with their lack of innovation with the Mac Pro in 2017. People were fed up, and Apple then decided to do something about it. They literally couldn't ignore it anymore, and we'll finally see what they deliver this year. So, will they take the iPhone just as seriously? We all love this stuff because we love technology. We love how it changes our lives, all the things that we can do. We love the innovation behind it. We're the ones that really get a benefit from all the work that way smarter people do. We'll never question that. But what do you think about all this? Is this the kick in the butt that Apple needs to wake up to innovate more aggressively with the iPhone? Or do you think they don't really care and will keep on their current track, knowing that even if people are frustrated, the ecosystem is so powerful that whatever other companies do, it still doesn't matter to them? I want to hear from you. Put in the comments, and if you like this video, thumbs up, subs up, and hit that notification bell to get the latest videos from me when they drop. I'm not going to leave the ecosystem, not right now. I'm honestly in too deep, but dang, for someone who loves the best tech you can find, it's not a good time to be an iPhone owner from that standpoint. I'm just being honest. I am feeling the pain with all of you. So thanks so much for watching. I'll talk to you soon. Take care and be safe. Peace.